Hello there, my name is Aaron Moss, and this is the Starman Manhunter Adventure Hour, presented by Head Speaks. This is an hour-ish long podcast where we'll talk about the Will Payton Starman comic and the Mark Shaw Manhunter comic from the late 80s, early 90s. We'll talk about every appearance of these two great characters. If you've never read them or haven't read them in a while, this may be a good time to explore these issues. Now, let's get started with our first comic.
Hey Star Hunters, Brother Ed here, and here we are with episode 49 of the Starman Adventure Show. Today we're looking at issue 43 of Starman. The cover date of this was February of 1992, the on-sale date, December the 24th, 1991. The cover price was $1. The title of this was called Blue Moon. The writer was Len Sierczynski. The artist was Vince Giordano. Letter, Robert M. Piana. Colorist, Tom J. McGraw. And the editor was Paul Kupperberg. The cover artist was Mike Mignola. So let's go and take a look at the cover as we normally do. The cover of this one, we've got Starman punching Lobo. In the background, we have Eclispo watching on. It says Star Shadows Part 2. Got our Starman logo. And the cover says it's Starman versus Lobo versus Eclispo. Need we say more? The cover is a Mike Mignola cover. As I talked about last month, I'm not a huge Mignola fan. I know some people love his artwork. I don't care for it. Too heavily inked, in my opinion. And I don't want to say this to be mean, but to me it looks like it's very roughly drawn. It doesn't look well put together. And that's a lot of Mike's stuff. It's got a very, I don't know, almost want to say amateurish. I mean, it's better than what I could do by any means, but I find most of Mike Mignola's stuff, and maybe it's his style, but I find it rather unfinished, and it just doesn't look, I want to say like a professional, but that's not quite the right word. It's a very, I don't know how to describe it. I'm trying not to be mean. I'm trying to be, as nice as I can about it, because again, I love the book, but yeah, I'm just not a fan of Mike Mignola's work. It just looks too, I don't know if it's rushed or if it's too rough, too much inks, it's too dark for me. I don't know. I mean, I think I would have liked this cover better had it been done by a different artist, but it's just, it just looks amateurish to me. That's all I can really say. Not as bad as that G.I. Joe and Transformers book that was out here a while back. God, that was horrible. But it's right above that, in my opinion. And again, if you're a Mike Mignola fan, don't hate me. Don't send me any death threats, please. I just not a fan of his work, especially on Starman. On Hellboy, it's all right. It fits the style, I guess. Starman, to me, is more of what I call a 4-color superhero. So, to me, it needs to be, I don't know, crisper, cleaner. I don't know. I just not a fan of this artwork. If I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, I would probably give it a 1.5, and that's being generous. But the cover has, like I say, Starman is punching Lobo. Lobo's got bright colors behind him, yellow and whites and oranges, where he's being hit. Up above him, kind of blending into the background, we have Eclispo watching on with a grin on his face, I guess it is. It's just very rough. Let's go move on to the book itself. So again, the first page of this, again, we have Lobo looking kind of like me if I had longer hair and the mutton chops. It's a very overweight Lobo, not what we're used to. Again, this is Vince Giordano. I'm not familiar with him offhand. He's not a regular that I'm used to. But yeah, this first page of Lobo looks like he's got a dad bod about. And again, it says we interrupt this comic for a brief flashback. So we're kind of rewound time a little bit. We're going back to get Lobo up to speed where we're at now. And he's in this bar. He's got this A in the background. Blue moon, you left me standing alone. So even though they're in an alien bar, they're singing Blue Moon, it strikes me as funny. And again, if you're not familiar with Lobo, he first showed up to Omega Man back in the mid-'80s. I'm familiar with him from the Legion books and when he's crossed over with Superman a couple of times. And then his own title, of course. His own title was a bit more humorous, very Giffen DeMatteis type humor, in my opinion. Very slapstick, very comical humor. Where when he's in the Legion book and crossover with Superman, it was a bit more serious. But again, he's basically a space biker, and he likes drinking. He's got space dolphins as his friends, and he's a bounty hunter. Mercenary? More than bounty hunter, he's a mercenary. He kills who needs to be killed for the right amount of money. So again, Lobo's kind of bored, and so he starts beating people up and killing people just because he's bored. And I like this here on page 4. Someone taps him on the shoulder. He turns around, swings out. Where'd you go? He looks down. He sees a little turtle man. And he's like, the turtle guy's like, I want to talk business, Mr. Lobo. And Lobo's all business. Forget it, shellhead. He's like, just be got out like turtle soup as he just pumps him and kicks him across the room. And as he's leaving, he's like, even playing football with a friggin' turtle's boring. And the turtles bounce around there, which is kind of funny. And the turtle shoves his hand out of the shell like, I have credits, and lots of them. Lobo's all, did you say credits? As in money? Okay, turtle, you have bought my attention. and again, the turtle tells him he has a contract for him. He's like, have you ever heard of a planet in the solar system known as Earth? He's like, oh, no, not that mudball. Because again, I'm not sure where this takes place offhand, but I believe this is after the Legion Superman crossover that crossed over in the annuals. In fact, I think it took place right before this, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, so he's asking the turtle, who do you want killed there? And he's like, someone pretty powerful. And the turtle shows him a picture of a holovid of Eclipso. And he says, his name's Eclipso. He's totally evil. The moon-faced geek, he's evil. How evil? And the thought pops up with a billion credits. And he's like, oh, that evil. And at this point, Lobo's back to looking. Just that first page, he looks very overweight. But after that, he gets back to a more normal, in quotes, looking Lobo. And again, I'm a fan of Lobo. I've liked him. I like the character. In fact, I dressed up for him one year for Halloween. I dressed up as Lobo. So yeah, he's an interesting character. But yeah, so he takes off, and apparently the turtle gives him advance. And he says, I'll be back before your shell needs a new waxing. And you better be here for the rest of my credits, or I'll learn to like turtle soup. And as Lobo takes off, the turtle kind of flips over the backlash from his motorcycle, cosmic cycle, whatever it is. And we hear someone say, the fool. And the turtle kind of crumbles. And we see just like a bluish mist where the turtle was at. And come find out this is the agents of order and chaos. And the two starts talking. And we get kind of a backstory, like an origin of Lobo, if you will. And the Lords of Chaos empowered Eclipso with the mystical ability sufficient to destroy the planet Earth, but he failed, letting his own ego get in the way. We get kind of a flashback to when Eclipso fought the Phantom Stranger. In fact, there's a note here from Paul Kupperberg, our editor, saying that this was during the Phantom Stranger miniseries back in 1988. So, where I guess Eclipso met up with the Phantom Stranger, and the Phantom Stranger was able to stop him from destroying the Earth. And we find out that apparently all he was supposed to bring chaotic destruction to the single planet, but instead he engaged the one called the Phantom Stranger in a contest of wills. And because of that, he let the agents down, giving them nothing but humiliation and defeat in exchange for power and trust. And I thought this was Order and Chaos, but it looked like this is just the Lords of Chaos. And again, I'm familiar with Chaos and Order and Chaos from the Hawk and Dove series from around the same time. Another series I love, which I will be talking about some point here on the Headcast Network. I'm just not sure where and how I'm going to do it yet. If I'm going to have its own show, probably its own show, because there's the 5-issue miniseries and then the 28 issue series, and there's a couple of annuals. So I'm going to talk about the Hawk and Dove at some point, but that's for another show, another time. But yeah, so this turtle was actually the Lords of Chaos wanting Lobo to take out Eclipso, who I guess they helped create, or I guess they empowered. I guess they didn't create, they just empowered him. And since Eclipso failed, he needs to be wiped out. And then we show Lobo flying through space, drinking and driving, which is never a good time. And as he's flying, again, here on page 11, so the first 10 pages kind of a flashback, getting us caught up to where we're at now, to the end of last issue, where Lobo and Starman crash into one another. And again, Will's kind of trying to pull out, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And he's like, oh, you fragging Phoebe. Look at my gargle supply. I guess that's the stuff he was drinking. He's like, stuff your excuses, Clyde. You just ruined my day. So this is where, again, we left off last issue. Lobo and Starman are fighting. And again, Will, being the superhero he is, like, hey, we can talk about this. He's like, cram it, you wimp. I got business to tend to. But there's always time to scraggin' some Phoeben tights. Will's like, oh, that smart's big time. Who is this guy? I may not know all the outer space etiquette, but I doubt a sucker punch is acceptable behavior. And Lobo's all, etiquette? I am Lobo. I don't need no stinking etiquette. And so again, the two start fighting. Again, here on this, for the next couple of pages, this fight scene between the two. And again, the artwork on this is pretty good. Nowhere near as bad as the cover is. And now that, like I say, the story's got started proper, we get Starman, we get Lobo. It's actually pretty good artwork. Not what it used to be. It's not quite as good as the original, issues, but it's not bad for me. It's not glaringly different than what we've been used to. So, which again, that's one thing. Sometimes when you get different artists on a book, sometimes you have to worry about the artwork being off and changing drastically, which can really throw you out of a story. So I do like that the artwork at this point is pretty standard for Starman. And as they're fighting, Lobo's like, oh, I shouldn't have that extra plate of nachos at the bar. And Will turns back around to see, he's like, oh, Bruce and the jet, where are they? And he finds out that Bruce is headed towards the moon. And as he's looking towards Bruce and the ship, again, Lobo kind of sucker punches him and says, follow the bouncing fist, Phoebe, as he punches him. And Starman's like, I wasn't even looking. Yeah, I guess that wasn't fair, but I liked it. And so as they continue fighting, Will is trying to lead Lobo back towards the moon so he can make sure that Bruce Gordon is okay. And Lobo flies up to him, he's like, don't go away, pretty boy. And Starman kicks him. The name is Starman, jerk. Remember it. And, ooh, I'm so scared. I love the dialogue in this. Again, the dialogue is very much what I expect from Lobo. Again, the dialogue for Will is down pat. So I'm enjoying the dialogue. I'm enjoying the story. The artwork, like I say, is spot on. I mean, not quite as good as originally used to be, but it's the changes aren't drastic. So I'm really enjoying this story. And as Lobo's trying to capture Will or beat Will up, whatever, Starman takes off. He's like, you have to catch me, Loopy Lobo. Whatever, I've got places to be. And he punches Lobo again. He's like, he's got a jaw like granite. And again, it's just a huge fight scene. And here on page 15, they're on the moon, rolling around the dirt, the space dirt on the moon, getting all dirty. They're all grayed out because of all the moon dust on them. And I like here on this middle panel on page 15, we see the American flag that was planted on the moon so many years ago. Now it's been 55 years ago. And Lobo's like, oh, now I'm really mad. And Will's like, big deal. Your star's mine, man. Whoops. And Will finally gets a chance to see Bruce, and the Bruce is okay, so he's able to deal with Lobo now. So he's like, he's thinking to himself, he's free to deal with this jerk. Meanwhile, back in the ship, we see Bruce. And again, this image of Bruce transforming into Eclipso looks a little off. It looks a little, I don't know, it's not quite. I've enjoyed the artwork for the most part for the rest of the book. It started off a little weak. It picked up pretty quickly. And now this panel here is just a little off of Bruce. It's close-up of Bruce being eclipsized. His hands are curled in front of him. And it's just, I'm trying to place what, it looks too cartoony, I think, is what it is. And apparently, and again, it's been a while since I've read the Eclipso Within and all these Eclipso stories. I thought Eclipso transformed Bruce into him, and the costume magically appeared, but apparently not. He's got his costume and his black gem hidden away. So he just gets dressed up so we have Eclipso, and again he's looking through the little gem, which again will come to play more later on, especially in the next where this series leads into, which we'll talk about probably next month. We'll get that at the end of this episode. We'll talk more about that. And as Lobo and Will are fighting, they see a black beam coming from the space the shuttle that Bruce was in. And Starman looks like, "What's that?" And Lobo's like, "You never learn, do you, geek?" As he sucker punches him again. And Starman, again, he's got the energy of his star, so he blasts Lobo with some of his energy. And as Lobo starts walking up, he just starts unloading his energy blast into him. And Lobo's just taking it. Because again, he lives in space. He deals with going into the sun. He's used to this high energy and high heat. So Will, using his sun power on him, if you will, or star power on him, isn't really affecting Lobo. And one thing that, again, it's a comic book, so I'm not going to complain about it. But yeah, the fact they are been having this conversation while they're in space and on the moon. If you want to get technical about it, yes, they couldn't be having this conversation because there's no air for them to be talking. I'm not going to hold realistic expectations, reality, to a comic book. We wouldn't have all this interesting dialogue, this banter back and forth, which I'm enjoying it, so I'm willing to let it slide. But yeah, it is very unrealistic that they're able to have this conversation while they're battling in space. Some people I don't know, how about you guys? Does something like this draw you out of the book where, they're talking in space where it shouldn't be? I mean, I can understand they're both telepathic, or if they set up some sort of method where they could communicate telepathically, but yeah, it appears they're both speaking words, which really couldn't happen. So that is a little bit of I don't want to say jarring so much, but a weak point in the story, I think, is that they wanted to have this dialogue, which is good dialogue, but I think Len Straczynski should have had a better way for them to communicate since they're in space. And here on page 16, we get a little more from Eclipso. He's looking at Starman through the diamond he has, his black diamond, and he says, Starman, you're my greatest creation, my perfect opposite. You are light to my darkness, a balance of energy. The more energy you expend, the better I feel. I meant you to be a living battery, a storehouse of energy against the works of my arch enemies, and I have many enemies. To save my resources, I must enter this battle. And here Eclipso has a helmet on, and he's standing on top of the ship, getting ready to launch into battle himself. And here on page 19, it looks like, it's hard to read these page numbers sometimes. Yeah, 17, 18, yeah, 19. There's just a full page blast of Will letting full burst energy blast into Lobo, just taking like a champ. He's like, "Is that all you got? Star baby?" And to me, I've always thought that Michael Keaton, when he was Beetlejuice, very much reminds me of Lobo. The attitude, the look, everything. I think that if Beetlejuice wasn't a thing, that look, that character would have been a good interpretation of Lobo, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's very much Beetlejuice, when Michael Keaton played him back in the late 80s, was a good look, or not quite perfect for Lobo, but a little tweaking. I think Michael Keaton could have been a good Lobo at the time. And like this, as Lobo's walking into the blast here on page 19, the moon behind him just kind of crumbling from all the heat that Starman is blasting into him. It looks a little roughly done, but then again, it's a space scene of Starman unloading onto Lobo. So you can imagine that the scene may be a little out of focus, in quotes. I don't know. It's a good panel. I like it. I think it could be done a little better. Not by me, of course, but I think this could have been done a little better to make it an even better panel. When I say done better, I think it could have been a poster almost. And so Lobo finally gets up to where Will's at, starts beating on him, and just starts beating the crap out of Starman. And Starman says he can feel his energy just slipping away. And as Lobo's, got him in a chokehold, just choking the crap out of him, I guess he's still letting loose with his energy, his star power. And Will's saying that he's too drained to fight. He can't do it anymore. And Lobo's all, give it up, goober. The heat trick didn't work before, and it won't work now. And Starman says he feels like he's coming apart. The whole energy structure that makes him up is coming apart, which means that he's going to break up and, in essence, die. But before that happens, they get a black beam, and Will says that the beam stopped the energy disintegration, stopped him from coming apart. And again, here on page, like I say, before I've been saying how good the artwork is. Here are these last couple panels, and it's only got one artist listed, but these last couple pages almost look like a different artist to me. I don't know if maybe someone came and did some finish-up work on this, if they got behind or something. I don't know the story behind it, but the artwork, as I was talking earlier, it's nice when the artwork is consistent throughout the series. This one issue, the artwork doesn't appear to be consistent to me. These last couple panels, it's rougher drawn. It's not as, in quotes, fully fleshed out as it has been. And I'd be interested to know what happened. In fact, if I get a chance, let me see if I talk to Paul. He probably's not going to remember this. I mean, this book came out over 30 years ago, and Paul's done a whole lot of work since then, so I doubt he's going to remember anything about this. But let me see if I get a chance to talk to Paul. Maybe I can interview him and do an episode of that, but that's for the future, maybe. But here on the last page, we see Eclispo staying on the wing of the jet, and let me see, Lobo saying, hot time in the old town tonight, what the hell, as he gets blasted with the energy blast, and Eclispo standing there, howl if you will at the dark of the moon. And Lobo looks up, hey, it's my lucky day. It's old Moonface. And the next issue box says, more hitting, more fighting, what more do you need? So again, I'm enjoying the story for the most part. The artwork is good. I would probably give it a B- just because it's inconsistent. The middle part of the book was really good artwork. The beginning and the end kind of slacks off, and it's not, in my opinion, what it should be or what it could be. But yeah, I'm liking the dialogue. I say, other than the fact that there shouldn't be this dialogue in space, but that's another story entirely, which I've already mentioned. I am enjoying the story other than the wonky dialogue. And that's where this issue ends. It says next issue is part 3 of the 4-part Star Shadows. And that's where this is going to end as far as this issue goes. I'm going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with Cop Comics Comic Rack.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
The Starman Manhunter Adventure Hour will be back after these messages.
I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble.
And his name is
A damn fine cup of coffee.
Do you enjoy comic books? Do you perhaps enjoy reading said comics while also consuming a tasty beverage? Well, hello, my friend. I am the caffeinated Clinton Robinson, and I invite you to join me on the Coffee and Comics podcast, where I look at a random comic roughly in the span of time it takes to have a nice little coffee break. So if you enjoy casual comics discussion and references potentially even more dated and randomly strung together than the ones in this promo, be sure to check out the Coffee and Comics podcast. Available on all the most brewtastic podcast apps.
Drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
Hey, where are all my comic books?
It's a small world after all. It's a small world.
Great comics come in all shapes and sizes.
Coming soon from the Fire and Water Podcast Network.
It's Digest Cast, a new show dedicated to our beloved pocket-sized treasures from that bygone era of the 70s and 80s.
Hosted by the Fire and Water Podcast team of Rob and Shag, and will be joined from time to time by special guests.
It's Digest Cast, because big things come in small packages.
Coming soon to the Fire and Water Podcast Network.
In 1974, four men literally changed the face of rock and roll forever.
Gene Simmons, Peter Criss, Ace Frehley, and Paul Stanley wanted to become the band they never got to see.
Over the next 40-plus years, the music, the makeup, the merchandise, and the loyal fan base have propelled KISS to one of rock and roll's elite groups.
With KISS heading down their end-of-the-road tour, we thought we would start our journey.
Turn it up to 10 because we love it loud.
Right Between the Eyes is a podcast all about our favorite band, KISS.
We will be covering all eras of KISS with the various albums, studio, live, and compilations, plus album mashups and more.
We will also cover solo and band projects from all members, past and present, while also looking at the various bands that have opened for KISS as well.
Not to mention all of the fun items in the KISS catalog. TV appearances, long-form videos, merchandise, comic books. Come on, the list goes on and on.
Coming in late May, early June 2021 to a podcast platform near you.
Follow us on Twitter at RBTE Podcast. Loud. I want to hear it loud. Right between the eyes. I want to hear it loud. Right between the eyes. Loud. I want to hear it loud. Turn it
Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed those promos. Now let's move on to
Copy Comics Comic Rack.
So, these are the books that were released December of 1991. Again, not all the books that came out that month, just the ones that jump out to me or that I want to bring attention to. So let's go and get started. First book I want to mention is Action Comics 673. This was had the Helgemite in it, written by Roger Stern, penciled by Bob McLeod. Again, this was part of the Triangle era. Or no, actually, this was part of the Triangle era of Superman. I really enjoyed this series. All the Superman books at this point was just banging, just spot on. I mean, there was the occasional clunker here and there, but overall, I thought that the crossover aspect of it was really good. This was my era of Superman. And I'll say this now, and this counts for all the Superman books I'm going to mention throughout this section. For more on this era of Superman, check out Michael Bailey's From Crisis to Crisis, a Superman podcast. A great podcast, one of the ones that I first started listening to. When I started listening to podcasts, great show. Mike's a great guy. Him and Jeffrey Taylor, they cover that entire era. Fantastic. There was also Adventures of Superboy 22. This had Metallo in it. And again, this was based on the TV show, The Adventures of Superboy. Adventures of Superman 487. This was their in quotes, annual Christmas issue. Usually every year or so, at Christmas time, they would do a special issue where Superman would read letters from kids or something along those lines would come up. This is written by Jerry Ordway. Fantastic writer. I love Ordway. Also this month was Agent Liberty Special number 1. He came out of the Superman books. It was written by Dan Jurgens, penciled by Dusty Abel. I seem to remember enjoying Agent Liberty. He was like a government, kind of like a Captain America type in the Superman universe. Also this month, there was Alpha Flight 105. Again, this was a Billy book, if I'm not mistaken. Moving on over to, I was saying moving over, but we're still at Marvel. Amazing Spider-Man 359. This had Cardiac, I think that was his name, in it. The Black Doctor. I like that. It was a good character. I enjoyed Cardiac. Also this month was Animal Man number 44. Again, this was right before the pre-Vertigo weirdness when I started drifting away from Animal Man. Aquaman number 3. Also this month was Armageddon Alien Agenda number 3. This again was Captain Atom and Monarch traveling through time, fighting. Again, I covered this one back over on my Head Speaks podcast a while back. Also this month was Avengers 344 and Avengers West Coast 79. Again, I was enjoying these books. I think Avengers West Coast started off as a Billy book, but I eventually started buying that one, and I think I was buying at this point. Moving on from there, There was also Batman 474. And I want to say that this may have been when they were restructuring Gotham and they were trying to make it more like the movie. I think they had the guy that worked on the movie set, was Anton First, I want to say. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Create the scenes for Gotham, and they kind of tried to incorporate more of that in the comic, if I'm not mistaken. I seem to remember that was a thing. Also this month was Batman vs. Predator #1. A couple different covers for that one. Also this month, Batman Master of the Future #1. That was a Elseworlds book. Looks like it was part of the Gotham by Gaslight storyline. Also this month was, just glancing through these books, Black Canary #4. I believe that was a 4-issue miniseries for Black Canary. A good series. I enjoyed that one. Over at Archie Comics, there was, I think it was Archie. Oh, Impact Archie. Impact Comics, there was the Black Hood #3. Kind of still staying, I mean, Impact was a DC imprint. So staying with DC, we had Brave and the Bold #3. This was the Green Arrow, Butcher, and Question. I picked that series up. I seem to remember enjoying it. I don't remember much about it now, but I remember picking it up. Also this month, Captain America 397. This month, you could also, on the newsstand, pick up Comet #7. Again, that's another Impact Comics book. Daredevil #301. This had the Owl in it. I think I was picking up Daredevil at this point. Again, I was enjoying the book for the most part. Also at Marvel, there was Darkhawk #12. Looks like this issue guest starred Tombstone. Getting a lot of crossovers in these early issues, trying to get you to pick up these books. Back over at DC, Deathstroke the Terminator #7. This was a crossover with Batman, being written by Marv Wolfman. This is part of his Teen Titans universe. Also this month from, again, I'm just going to mention it because I'm Big Perv, Debbie Does Dallas #9. Never picked these up, but again, as I've mentioned, but I will mention Debbie Does Dallas #9. Debbie Does Dallas, again, when I was a youth, was a infamous porn movie. I mean, everyone seen, there was always references to Debbie Does Dallas, so of course there was a comic book for it. Demon #20. This is being written by Ellen Grant. I was picking up the Demon. I was enjoying it. A good series. Also this month, Detective Comics #640. And there was Dr. Fate #36. This looks like it was some of the original Dr. Fate. It looks like this may have reverted back to Kent Nelson. I want to say, I seem to remember this, but I don't remember the details on it. I was enjoying Dr. Fate. A good series. A lot of changes to Dr. Fate. I don't know if it was just they were trying to get a good footing on it or the plans on it. But yeah, there was a lot of change. I know it started off with Eric and Linda Strauss, and then Linda took control of it, and then Enza Nelson took control of Dr. Fate for a while. But I believe this was back to Kent Nelson, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be mistaken on that. Speaking of doctors, Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, #38. Recently, a TV series on, I think it was HBO Max, Doom Patrol, written by Grant Morrison. This is issue 51. Again, this was the kind of what the Doom Patrol series that was on HBO Max was based off of. These stories by Alan Grant. The very weird, the very Vertigo-esque. I'm just looking at the cover real quick. This may have been pre-Vertigo still. Oh no, yeah, it's Vertigo at this point. Yep. According to Mike's Amazing World, it was Vertigo. That's what DC's weirder stuff was under the Vertigo, more adults titles, if you will. Elongated Man #2. That was a 4-issue miniseries. I didn't pick this up, but Evil Ernie #1. Evil Ernie was a mascot for, I want to say Metallica. Don't quote me on that. My best friend Dean, his brother Larry, was big into heavy metal. And I remember seeing Evil Ernie in his bedroom on a lot of different things. So he had a comic book, of course. Excalibur #47. Again, I was enjoying this, but written by Alan Grant. Good series. Also, there was Excalibur Heir Apparent #1. It was a special edition. I'm just looking. I don't remember if this was a reprint book or if this was I think it was a new story. I'm sure I had this one, but I do not remember offhand. Also this month, The Flash #59. Had Power Girl guest starring, had Chunk, Wally's mom. Looks like she was getting hitched or was dating somebody. Again, I was enjoying The Flash at this point. Over at Impact Comics, there was The Fly number 8. No, I'm sorry, number 6. Sorry, Fly number 6. Something else I talk about on a regular monthly basis, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 121. Again, for more on G.I. Joe, check out one of my other shows, G.I. Joe, A Real American Headcast, available monthly on the Headcast Network. Also this month was Ghost Rider, number 22. There was also Ghost Rider, Wolverine, Punisher, Hearts of Darkness, number 1. It wasn't a trade, but it was a thicker, I forget the name, a deluxe format book. I enjoyed that one. Green Arrow number 56. Good series. Again, this was the more pointy arrow instead of the boxing glove arrow. Green Arrow, written by Mike Grell. For more on Green Arrow and all of the works of Mike Grell, check out Warlord Worlds by friends of the show, Darren Ruth Sutherland. Sticking with the color green for a little while, we have Green Lantern, number 21. Also this month, back over at Marvel, was Guardians of the Galaxy, number 21. Again, this was the futuristic story, kind of like the Legion of Superheroes, but for Marvel. I was enjoying the Guardians, and again, as I've talked about before, I've said it before, I'll say it again, this is what I wanted the Guardians of the Galaxy movies to be, but no one asked my opinion, so we didn't get it. Hawkworld number 20 over at DC Comics. Also DC Comics, Hellblazer number 50. I didn't read that series, but I read a lot of these books. My friend Scott was a Hellblazer fan, and at some point I read a lot of his books. Impact Christmas Special number 1. I remember having this one. I don't remember if it was a crossover with all their characters or if it was different. Okay, it looks like they had different stories in there. Looking here, yeah, it's got the Web had a story, Comet, Shield, Fly, Black Hood, and Jaguar. So yeah, it was just a Christmas book with each of them had a short story in it. Incredible Hulk 390. Again, this was the Peter David era of the Incredible Hulk, where he was the professor, he was the smart Hulk. God, I really loved that version of the Hulk. My favorite version of the Hulk, I think. Also this month, Justice League of America number 59 and Justice League Europe 34. This was part of the breakdown storyline where they were kind of ending the Justice League as was, the Wahaha Funny League, and they were turning it back more into a regular superhero comic instead of what they've been doing for the last several years. But both of these are part of the breakdown storylines. Also this month, for more on the Justice League titles, check out friend of the show, The Irredeemable Shag, and his JLI Wahaha podcast. Also this month was Legion 92, number 36. Back over at Impact, we had Legend of the Shield number 8. And DC had Legends of the Dark Knight 26 and 27 out. It looks like they maybe was going bi-monthly at this point for the summer or whatever. Well, this wasn't summertime though. Yeah, there's 2 issues out this month of Legends of the Dark Knight. Legions of Superheroes. Try that again. Legion of Superheroes number 26. Also this month, there was, again, I've talked about in this issue, so we'll talk about it here a little bit. Lobo's Greatest Hits, trade paperback. It looks like this reprinted stories from, I didn't have this one, I don't think. It looks like this reprinted stories from Omega Men, Superman, the Legion, Justice League, Mr. Miracle. Yeah, I do not remember this one offhand, but it looks like it just had excerpts from all the different appearances of Lobo. Also, Lobo, the Last Azarian, trade paperback. Reprinted some of Lobo's specials, it looks like. Also, Lobo, The Wisdom of Lobo, softcover. Again, Lobo was very popular this time, because you couldn't tell. He had 3 different books out, plus he was in Starman. He was over in, where did I see him at? I just saw him somewhere else on one of these covers. I don't think I mentioned it. I probably should have since he was in this book. But, Just Like Europe 34. Lobo was in that one. So Lobo was getting around this month. Also this month, there was Mark Spector Moon Knight, number 35. Married with Children, number 4. I think I had that one. Marvel 1991, The Year in Review, number 3. I like these. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, they did like the swimsuit issues and these Marvel Year in Review books. Kind of like a Time magazine type book. These are larger, oversized, magazine-sized comics. I enjoyed these. These are fun. Moving on, briefly mention Marvel Comics Presents 95. I'm not sure if this was the end of it or... Okay, no, I guess not. I thought this was a weekly book, but there's only one out this month, it looks like. Anyways, Marvel Comics Presents 95. That was the Wolverine series. Plus, they had other stories popping up in it. Marvel Tales featuring Spider-Man number 258. That was long running. That reprinted Amazing Spider-Man 239. Looks like it was a Hobgoblin story. As I said, Marvel Tales was a reprint title, reprinting Spider-Man stories. I know my friend Peter Pastor, I've mentioned before, had a lot of those. Mask number 0. I didn't have that, but I enjoyed the movie, so I just had to mention that. Mask number 0. Also this month, there was Namor the Submariner number 23. Also this month, we had New Titans number 83. This was part of the Titans Hunt storyline. Jericho versus Deathstroke. I won't go any further details on that one. I plan on talking about the New Titans and the Teen Titans at some point, somewhere on the Headcast Network. Watch for it. Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. number 32. There was also the official Handbook of the Marvel Universe, Master Edition number 15. Moving on from there, there was Power Pack Holiday Special number 1. I don't remember if I had that one or not. I don't recall. Power Pack was one of I think it was a Billy book. I read some Power Pack stories. I don't remember if I picked this one up or not, though. Punisher, number 60. Also Punisher Bloodline, number 1. Punisher War Journal number 39. Punisher Eye for an Eye trade paperback. Punisher Blood on the Moors hardcover. Wow, that was 5 Punisher books in this 1 month. Again, in case you couldn't tell, Punisher was pretty popular at this point in time. I picked up most of these. I'm just looking here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I picked up most of these, if not all of these, because again, I don't remember Blood on the Moors. The rest of them I think I remember, but I don't remember Blood on the Moors. Again, I was enjoying the Punisher. Good character. I liked him. Quasar, number 31. This had ties into the new universe. As I mentioned before, the new universe was really before my time, before I got into buying comics. So I know of the new universe from the ads and from the crossovers of the books like these. For more on Quasar, check out the Quantum Cast by friend of the show, Gene Hendricks. I don't think it's going on anymore, but check out the past issues of it. It was a good podcast. I enjoy listening to Gene. He's a good guy. Ragman number 5. That was a DC comic written by Keith Giffen. So, it had to be good. I think this is a little bit more serious than his Justice League books at the time. I remember reading it. I remember buying it, but honestly, it's been so long ago, I do not remember the details on it. Over at DC also, there was The Ray, number 1. This was a new character that was a legacy character. I liked The Ray. I thought it was a good title. Good character. Also this month, there was Robin 2, number 4. This was his second miniseries. He had like 2 or 3 miniseries before he started his first actual series. This was the Tim Drake Robin. I had all these. These had special covers. I enjoyed these. It was good. This was written by Chuck Dixon, who is a frequent guest over my friend's show, The Signal of Doom. David Finn, he's always on my G.I. Joe podcasts a lot of times. He does a great show. And like I say, Chuck's a frequent guest over on The Signal of Doom. So check that out. Tell David that Brother Head sent you. Anyways, back over to the Copper Comics. Who else is out this month? There was Sensational She-Hulk number 36, written by John Byrne. Again, this was the more comedy version of the She-Hulk. Like I've said before, it's the recent Disney Plus She-Hulk series was kind of based on the way this series was done, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Both this book and the series. If you didn't like it, tough. Shade the Changing Man number 20. Moving on from there, Sleepwalker number 19. I'm sorry, number 19. I can't read tonight, kids. Sleepwalker number 9. As I've talked about, a newer character. Interesting character, very odd, but I enjoyed him. Also this month, Spider-Man number 19. This was the adjectiveless Spider-Man. And I believe at this point, Eric Larson was writing this series at this point, or at least this issue. Todd had moved on to help form Image. Also this month, Spider-Man Saga number 4. This was kind of looking back at the Spider-Man series and what's going on with Spider-Man. Some Star Trek books, as always. A lot of Star Trek books this month. And Star Wars. Star Wars Dark Empire number 1 came out. I didn't pick this up at the time. I read it later on. This was Dark Empire. I think that's where Luke kind of went to the dark side for a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe the Return of the Emperor. I don't recall offhand. I'm sure I read this one. I remember reading it. I just don't remember what it was about offhand. So many books over the years. Starman number 43, which I talked about this very episode. Suicide Squad number 61. I've got a bit delayed on that one, but the Suicide Squad is over on my Task Force X podcast. In fact, this is about where I'm at right now. For more on Suicide Squad, check out my currently delayed podcast, Task Force X. Also, from DC Comics, there was Superman number 64 and Superman, the Man of Steel, number 8. Also this month from DC, there was Swamp Thing number 116. There were some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle books, of course. There was some Planet of the Apes books, Terminator. Again, everything had a comic book at this point. We're kind of skipping over those. There was, again, because he has a movie coming out recently here in the near future, Toxic Avenger number 11. Also this month was, let me see here real quick, The Uncanny X-Men 285. I had started reading the X-Men books at this point, and I was enjoying them. That's why I was buying them. Also this month, there was Warlock and the Infinity Watch number 1. That ties in the whole Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, Thanos, that whole thing that Marvel dealt with in their movies to an extent. But again, in the comics, much deeper. A lot more stuff going on there. Back over at Impact Comics, The Web number 6. And jumping back over to Marvel, there was Web of Spider-Man number 85. Also this month, What If number 34. This looks like a comedy issue. It's What If Thanos changed Galactus into a human being? The cover says, what if no one was watching The Watcher? It shows The Watcher in a Marilyn Monroe pose, standing over the vent with the skirt blowing up. I remember this cover, but I do not remember what was going on here. Wizard, the Guide to Comics number 5. I was enjoying Wizard. I thought it was a good series looking behind the scenes and upcoming stuff from different comic companies. Wolverine number 51, written by Larry Hama, who was, again, writer on the G.I. Joe comic. Just gotta love some Larry. Great guy. Wonder Man number 6. I don't know if this was a series or if this was a mini-series. May have been a limited... I don't remember now. But this is, again, Wonder Man has I think it's a TV series or something from Disney Plus coming out soon. But it's not the same Wonder Man. The Wonder Man that's going to be in the series is based off the Ultimates. I'm not familiar with that character, but this is the original Marvel version of Wonder Man, who's tied into the Vision and the Scarlet Witch and all that. Wonder Woman number 62. Looks like it says an era ends for Wonder Woman. I think this is probably the end of George Perez's run on Wonder Woman. Yeah, in fact, next issue, William Messner Loeb starts writing Wonder Woman. So this was the last issue of the George Perez Wonder Woman. George restarted Wonder Woman after the Crisis with number 1, kind of reinvented her for a new era for DC Comics, and he had a 62-issue run, and this is where it ends. A good series. I enjoyed Wonder Woman. Also back over at Marvel, there was X-Factor number 75, and X-Force number 7. Again, this was I think this was the Liefeld. I'm looking real quick. Yeah, this is the Rob Liefeld written book. And finally, X-Men number 5. This was the newer title, the whatever. Just the X-Men number 5. I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of. Anyways, the adjectiveless. I can't even say it today. X-Men book. Written and penciled by Jim Lee. Again, great series. I enjoyed the X-Men at this time. The entire run of X-Men is really good. Like I talked about over at DC, Superman had a good tight continuity between their books. X-Men was kind of doing the same thing over at Marvel. But those were the books that came out December of 1991. Did I miss anything that you guys liked? Did you like any of the books I mentioned? Feel free to let me know. Send an email to coppercomics@headspeaks.com. Again, coppercomics@headspeaks.com. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Starman Adventure Show. But before I go, something I don't normally do, the next issue blurb. Next episode is episode 50 of the Starman Adventure Show. I think that may be my final episode. Normally I do one book a month. I think there's only 2 issues left in this series, unfortunately. And then he goes on and does a few other things, which I'll mention. I think I may try to wrap all up next issue. 50th episode, it'll be like a double or triple sized episode. I may skip next month and wait and release that. This is March. So maybe I'll release that one in May so I can just tie it all up in one final episode. If I can talk to Paul before then, maybe I'll have a little interview with Paul in there. It should be a supersized, extra large episode of the Starman Adventure Show. Again, I have the right to change my mind before then, but that's what I'm looking at doing, is just tying this book up and finishing it off on the 50th episode. I think a 50-episode podcast series is a good run, a nice round, even number. Let me know what you think. Send me an email to starman@headspeaks.com. And that is going to do it for this month. Join me probably in May for probably the final episode of the Starman Adventure Show. Until then, Star Hunters, keep looking to the stars. Thank you for listening to another great episode of the Starman Manhunter Adventure Hour. Please join us next month for another great, fantastic episode as we cover another issue of the Will Payton Starman series and the Mark Shaw Manhunter series. Keep in mind that these podcasts are not affiliated or endorsed by DC Comics. I'm just a fanboy who loves these comics and wants to spread these love with everyone else out there and just talk about them. Again, you can email us at smah@headspeaks.com, or you can go to our blog, which is at starman-manhunter.headspeaks.com. You can also go to the Facebook page at facebook.com/Starman Manhunter Adventure Hour. No spaces, all one word. But once again, thank you very much for joining us. Until next episode, this is Aaron Moss saying, see you in the funny pages.